You start things all the time. You get excited, you make plans, you take the first steps. And then somewhere around 70% done, you just stop. It's not that you lose interest, it's that your brain has decided finishing is more dangerous than staying stuck. This isn't about focus, it's not about discipline. Every time you abandon something right before completion, you're protecting an identity that finishing would destroy, and your brain treats threats to your identity like threats to your life. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why completion feels more terrifying than failure, how staying unfinished serves a hidden purpose, and what's really happening when you can't bring yourself to cross the finish line, because this pattern isn't random, it's protective. And it makes perfect sense once you see the mechanism. You've got notebooks full of half-written ideas, projects that are 80% complete, conversations you keep meaning to have, goals you've restarted a dozen times. And the frustrating part, you're capable. You know how to finish. You've done it before in low-stakes situations. But when it actually matters, when the thing could change something about your life, you sabotage it right at the end. People tell you to push through, to just finish this time, like you haven't tried that, like willpower is the missing piece. But willpower has nothing to do with it. You're not lacking discipline, you're experiencing something way more primal than that. The closer you get to finishing, the more anxious you become. Your chest gets tight, you find urgent distractions. Suddenly everything else needs your attention. The incomplete project sits there, almost done, while you reorganize your entire life around avoiding it. And the shame of this is suffocating, because you can see yourself doing it. You know it's irrational, but knowing doesn't stop the pattern. It just adds guilt on top of the paralysis. So what's actually going on? You're not who you'll become if you finish. Right now, you're the person who's trying, who's working on it, who has potential. That version of you is familiar, safe, known. But the person who finishes, who completes things, who follows through, that's a different person. Someone you've never consistently been, and your brain doesn't care if the new identity is better. What matters is that it's unfamiliar, and unfamiliar equals potentially dangerous in your nervous system's calculation. You have a story about yourself. Maybe you're the person who has great ideas but struggles with execution. Maybe you're the one who's always almost there. Maybe you're someone who tries hard but things just don't work out. These identities hurt. But they're yours. They're predictable. You know how to be this person. You know what to expect. Finishing something important means you'd have to become someone else, someone who completes things, who follows through, who shows up fully. And that person is unknown territory. Your brain treats unknown territory as threat, even when the unknown is objectively better than the known. Because better doesn't mean safer in your nervous system's vocabulary. This is why you might notice the pattern gets worse the more important the project is. Writing a grocery list, no problem. Writing the book that could define your career? Suddenly you can't string two sentences together. The higher the stakes, the bigger the identity shift required. And the bigger the identity shift, the louder your nervous system screams danger. But there's more happening here than just identity protection. Finishing means being seen, actually seen. Not for your potential, not for your effort, for your output, for what you actually produced. And that's terrifying. When something's incomplete, you're safe from judgment. You can say it's not finished yet, or wait until you see the final version, or I just need to work on it more. The work stays theoretical. Your capability stays unproven but also undisproven. Finishing removes all that protection. You're saying, this is it, this is what I made, and now people can actually evaluate it. They can criticize it. They can decide it's not good enough. They can decide you're not good enough. Staying incomplete keeps you in this weird, liminal space where you're neither successful nor failed. You're just trying. And trying is way less vulnerable than completing. This is the trap. You think you're afraid of failure, but what you're actually afraid of is being fully seen and having people judge the real you, not the potential you, not the trying you, the actual you who made an actual thing. At least when you don't finish, you can blame the incompleteness. It would have been better if I'd finished. People would see my vision if it was complete. The unfinished state protects you from finding out what happens when you give something your all, and it's still not enough. And there's a third pattern most people don't recognize. Not finishing gives you an identity to maintain. You get to be the person who's struggling, who's working on themselves, who's on the journey. And that identity comes with certain benefits you might not consciously realize you're attached to. People give you grace. They offer support, they check in on how it's going. There's a kind of attention and care that comes with being someone who's trying, but not quite succeeding. If you actually finished, if you actually became the person who follows through consistently, you'd lose that. You'd be expected to keep performing, to maintain that new standard, to be someone who has it together instead of someone who's working on getting it together. And maybe somewhere deep down, you learned that being capable meant being alone. That struggle got you connection, but success meant isolation. That people cared about you when you were trying, but resented you when you succeeded. So not finishing becomes a way to maintain the relationships and attention patterns you've built your life around. It's not conscious, but your brain learns what works. And if incomplete has always equaled cared for, then completion feels like abandonment. This is why logic doesn't touch this pattern. You can't think your way out of it. Because it's not happening in your logical brain. It's happening in the part of your nervous system that's tracking safety, identity, and connection. When you're 80% done and suddenly can't continue, that's not laziness, that's not lack of follow-through. That's your entire nervous system pulling the emergency brake, because it's calculated that finishing is more dangerous than staying stuck. So what does this mean? It means the pattern makes sense. It's not evidence of personal failure. It's evidence of a very functional nervous system trying to protect you, based on old data. Your brain is doing its job. It's just working from information that's no longer accurate. You're not the child who got punished for succeeding anymore. You're not in the environment where being capable meant being alone. You're not risking the same things you were risking then. But your nervous system hasn't updated. It's still running the same threat calculations it learned years ago, still trying to protect you from dangers that no longer exist. The first step isn't forcing yourself to finish. It's recognizing what's happening when you can't. Oh, I'm 80% done and my body just shut down. There's that identity protection again. My brain thinks finishing is dangerous. That recognition creates space between the automatic response and your conscious choice. And in that space, you can start testing new information. What if finishing doesn't destroy your identity? What if being seen isn't actually dangerous? What if completion doesn't equal isolation? You won't believe these things right away. Your nervous system needs evidence, not logic. So you start small, finish something low stakes. Notice that your identity survives. That being seen isn't catastrophic. That completion doesn't mean abandonment. Slowly, you teach your brain new equations. Finishing equals growth, not destruction. Being seen can equal connection, not rejection. Completion creates possibility, not isolation. This takes time. These patterns are deeply wired. But every time you notice the pattern activating and pause instead of automatically sabotaging, you're rewriting the program. Every time you finish something despite the fear and survive it, you're updating the data. The goal isn't to become someone who completes everything perfectly. The goal is to separate completion from threat, to teach your nervous system that finishing something doesn't require you to lose yourself in the process. You can complete things and still be you. You can be seen and still be safe. You can follow through and still be connected. Your brain just doesn't believe that yet, but it can learn. If this pattern is yours, I want to hear about it. What do you typically abandon right before the finish line? What's the thing you're 80% done with right now that you can't make yourself complete? Drop a comment. Sometimes seeing you're not alone in this changes something.